This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hi, welcome to It's a Doggy Dog World. I'm your host, Liz Palaika, and with me today, as always, are my good friends Petra
Hello.
and Kate Abbott.
How do?
And we're going to talk about dog behavior and dog training today. You know, we often bounce around to a variety of different subjects, but our core thing is dog training and behavior. And today, we're going to talk about generalization, and generalization in regards to dog training and in regards to dog behavior. Because one thing we hear about all the time in our training classes is, but he does it at home. And then I get here to training class and he doesn't do it here, but he does it at home. So let's talk about that and why that happens.
So, warning, I intend to kind of geek out for a few minutes here.
Really?
We need like a warning buzzer. Analogy time.
Even worse than that, geek time. How do dogs think? Yeah. And then, if you want to fast forward to what to do to reduce problems.
Listen to the whole thing.
Okay.
Because it'll give you a good giggle, if nothing else. She's going to quote Dr. Seuss.
Oh, well, as an analogy, sort of. So, what is generalization? And as I was thinking about it and driving here, I was listening to NPR, and somebody had called in with a question about a Dr. Seuss book, and I started drifting off into green eggs and ham because I thought, what a great generalization example. So if you haven't read it in a while, and I have to confess I haven't, but the question is, do you like green eggs and ham? And he says, no, I don't. And his buddy says, well, how about, would you like it in a train? Would you like it on a plane? Would you like it, blah, 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 blah. And I think it's Sam, right? Sam
Yes.
says, Sam says, no, I don't like it.
I knew that. Oh, my God.
I'm just going to sit here and be quiet.
So Sam says, no, I don't like it anywhere. So he has generalized. He doesn't like it in one place. He doesn't like it everywhere. But if you asked a dog the same question, and the dog would say, I don't know. I've had it on a train, but I've never had it on a plane. I might like it on a plane. I don't know. So the dogs in general, do not generalize.
Until they've been taught to.
So one definition is generalization is being able to do a behavior in a less familiar situation. Can it transfer over? So before I thought of the Dr. Seuss, humans are good at generalization. That's one of our species' pros. In spite of all the memes going around about bringing back stick shifts to annoy the younger generation.
I missed that.
Me too.
Oh, yeah.
But that would be fun. I like a stick shift.
Me too.
Haroon.
That most people, I think now the majority of the population do not know how to drive a stick shift.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But
I learned on one.
Assuming that it's an automatic, once you have learned to drive, then you can move to another car. Now there will be some short-term, quickly figuring
Where
out
are the
new
buttons
things.
and...
But the idea of driving is now you're able to generalize it all over the place, even to other kinds of vehicles.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But not with a dog, and you're never quite sure what they're going to grab onto with their specialization. But on the other hand, they're much better at picking out things from the environment than we do.
So they're a predator.
Yeah, you look out over the forest trail, and it looks clear to you, and your puppy dog has gone, 3 squirrels on the left, 1 on the right, There's a turtle under there, something's flying. Things that we miss, they are much more likely to pick out of the environment.
True.
We each have our strengths.
Exactly. But if we don't recognize that dogs are not good generalization creatures, then we do something with them, 100 times at home, and then you go someplace else and go, you know this, why aren't you doing it?
That Great Dane you worked with.
Oh, Lord,
yeah, a few years ago.
That was a classic extreme example.
Yeah.
Did a home private training, and the dog was beautifully trained, as long as you're within, 9 square feet of the kitchen counter. And that was the woman's problem. She says, well, as soon as we go into another room, he acts like he's never heard the word sit before. So I asked her to show me, and sure enough, then I noticed that she had her treat jar on the kitchen island counter there. And when I asked her to go into the other room, she didn't take any treats with her.
And especially didn't take the jar.
Didn't take the jar. And even when she took the jar, the dog was still hesitant. So that was one of my experiments. Anyway, she had done all of her training in that 9 square feet around the counter because it was the most convenient for her. Mm-hmm. So therefore the dog said, sit means put my butt on the ground as long as we are in this room, this close to the counter, and you have that jar around. Mm-hmm. And for all I know, it could have been that she always wore a green sweater when she trained. I mean, there's so many variables.
Well, we see that with dogs also when their owners are wearing a treat pouch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you put the treats in your pocket, that's changed the whole thing. But if that treat pouch is on, if you're wearing the treat pouch, that's the cue to behave.
And so a lot of people start saying, well, he only will behave if I've got the food to bribe him with. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying you can still use food, but let's change how it's presented to the dog. And eventually, of course, all these things you want to fade away once.
Yeah, you don't want to have to be using treats for the next 14 years.
Right.
Unless you're introducing something new.
So the location, the environment, and you're part of the environment are all part of things that a dog can say, all of these conditions must be met.
And speaking of you or the environment, how many times we hear from students, well, the dog will behave for the wife or the dog will behave for the husband because one of them does 99% of the training. And then when the other family member steps in, the dog says, oh, well, no.
You're not part of my equation.
You're not part of this. Or you're saying it different.
And it even with all aspects of life. So you may teach your puppy dog not to get on the couch in the family room. Mm-hmm. But that's not the same thing as teaching him not to get on the couch in the living room. Yeah. That's a whole different room, a whole different piece of furniture. And it takes more than 100 times to do something. It takes thousands and thousands, and each time changing the environment at least a little. And then recognizing you have to teach your puppy dog, yes, we can do it in another room. Okay, we've done it 100,000 times here. Great, now we're going to do it without you seeing my treat bag. And then we're going to go outside. Every time you do something like that, it's as though you're setting your puppy dog's understanding back to zero. Now, the good news is, as they get it in one place,
it takes less.
Yeah, you don't have to do 100 million to reset.
Yeah.
But you do often have to go back and say, you don't understand it here and now.
Well, before we started recording, I was talking about Hero, who's now 2.5 and is thinking he's a grown-up and thinking he's hot stuff. And the rule in my house is I have 3 resident cats and I often have foster kittens. The dogs are not allowed to chase the cats at all, period, ever. Well, Hero, thinking he's grown up now and thinking he's big stuff, wasn't chasing the cats, but he was bouncing at them. And he's 50 pounds, and the cats are 10 or 11 pounds, and he's a big boy to bounce. Well, the 2 white cats were running from him, but the orange cat, Kirk, said, no, this is my house. You will not bounce at me. And he swatted Hero on the nose. And initially, Hero went, whoa, orange cat is scary. But I've noticed the last few days, he's now being cautious with all 3 cats. So he started to generalize that even though 2 will run from him and 1 makes his nose hurt, he's going, maybe all 3 are dangerous. And I don't think he's got it totally yet, but he's thinking about it.
So that is one of the geeky parts about looking at generalization is that negative occurrences,
like getting swatted on your nose by a cat,
are much easier for a dog to generalize.
Yeah.
Sometimes way out of proportion. Mm-hmm. And, okay, geek part, it makes sense evolutionarily.
Yes. It's like us. Bee sting, spiders. Petra hates spiders.
One and all.
So, yeah, dangerous things
You learn fast.
Dangerous things can kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Got
have
to
learn
pay
quick.
attention.
Yeah. Snake bites.
Happy things, yeah, those are nice, but they're not survivalist.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure out with my boy. So I don't know how months ago, when I gave him a treat, I must have given him a static shock when he reached for it.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Quill.
Hey.
Quill the Jack Russell.
So I still get, it's less often now, but I will still get, sometimes we're working along and I'll go to hand him a treat and he goes, oh God, I'll try to take it. Oh my. And his eyes are all squinty and I'm, okay, right. We got to deal with this again. So I have to go back and rework it so that he's happy. He has a positive reward for taking the treat out of my hand. But anyway, at least knowing it, I know helps me understand what to do about it. But every one time that he flinches, or Lord forbid if he should get another shock.
Yeah. And
It's
where
gonna
we
send
live,
that.
as soon as the weather warms up and
Oh, yeah, it'll
the
happen.
humidity goes down. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And he being the most sensitive Jack Russell Terrier I've ever seen in my life.
On Earth. Yes.
The orange cat, Kirk, got a shock on his nose from me a few months ago, and he got over it in a day. Your sensitive boy is still going on about it.
he feels things very deeply.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's another challenge. The challenge is that a negative result will stick with a dog quickly and for a long time, even through different environments. But a positive response takes longer for them to believe that it will happen in different times, different places, and different
And we're not
environments.
saying to train your dog with negative responses.
Because you can't, it's even harder to determine the effects of a negative
Right.
than it is to create
Should
a
it
positive.
happen in the environment, like Hero getting swatted by the cat,
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with that. That was between he and the cat. But yeah, even though the negative can be stronger, you don't want to focus your training on the negative.
And it did make me stop and ponder how many dogs that, I don't know why he reacts to some people. It could have been, we'll use a mild example. He got a static shock from somebody wearing a green shirt once. From then
Sure.
on, anybody else in the world with a green shirt is dangerous and must be attacked.
Yeah?
And yet we humans are left scratching our heads going, I wonder why he doesn't like that person. And you definitely don't want a dog that just can react for reasons that you don't understand.
Right.
Yeah.
If you understand it, then at least you can
Work with it.
Prepare for it.
I mean, commonly what we hear about is a lot of rescues with people with hats or sunglasses.
Yeah.
Dogs
Or
don't like somebody that comes
some
and wears
like-
this big hat. Or,
Some like women and don't like men, or vice versa.
Again, yeah. What happens? Something.
Oh, and doing the kind of prep work for the geeky portion of this, a dog that went maniacally ballistic if anybody tried to put a leash on him. Well, it turns out that by happenstance, they found out that as a young dog, he had chewed an electrical cord and got a very strong zap.
So anything that looked cord-like.
Anything totally freaked him out. So it took a while to figure out what the cause was. And the good news is, you don't always have to know the cause, but you can start doing counter conditioning and all that geeky stuff without actually knowing the cause.
Right.
But knowing the
But
cause
it does
makes
help.
it easier.
Right.
Yeah.
It does help. You do.
At least it makes us as humans go, oh, that's why.
Okay, so let's take a break and talk about our sponsor, who is Pets Are Kids 2. They have a variety of products, but today we want to talk about their premium pet oatmeal shampoo. It smells absolutely wonderful. I mean, when I smelled it, I'm thinking oatmeal and vanilla. It was like a breakfast.
Well, it makes sense. The ingredients, for one thing, they're all natural, which is really nice. You don't have to worry so much about what weird things are being put into something you're putting on your pet. So, oat proteins, baking soda, coconut-based cleanser, so it's plant-derived soap, water, glycerin, DMDH, which is a natural preservative, and then vitamins A, D, and E. So it's a nice, creamy, all-natural ingredient shampoo that smells good.
Smells wonderful. And what's interesting is shampoo can be used on your dog or cat. So this can be used
And cats
on
are
either.
cats are very sensitive, so that shows you what a quality product this is.
Right. And this particular shampoo is supposed to help with the less itching if you have a dog that itches or may have, I guess, itchy skin or allergies. I assume this would be nice and comforting to them.
Well, with the antibacterial, antifungal properties, you're less likely to get a secondary infection from your dog licking or scratching because of an allergies. And just soothing. That's so nice.
Right. So if you're interested in this product, which smells absolutely wonderful, I would watch my dog stick my nose in their fur because they smell so good.
But don't take a really deep sniff or you're going to sneeze.
Or don't inhale it like Liz attempted to and got up her nose. But if you're interested in check out some of their other products, again, it is, you go to petsarekids2.com.
That's PETSAREKIDSTOO. I feel like the Mickey Mouse Club. But petsarekids2.com.
And you can enter a code, which is PET, P-E-T, 15 for a 15% discount off your purchase.
A portion of all proceeds go to help animals that are been diagnosed with cancer. And their little twist, which is quite personal, is they actually help the family themselves.
Yeah.
Or they help provide financial care for the dog or cat undergoing cancer treatment. So it's very important to do research and fund that. But research is to help prevent in the future. There are cats and dogs and their families that are dealing with cancer right now.
And these people take some stress off of that. Stressful enough to lose your fur child, and then all the financial burden.
And to follow through with that, with every product that you purchase, if you take a picture of your dog or cat, or your, guinea pig for that matter,
it does.
next to the product that you purchased, and send that picture into Pets or Kids 2, they will send back a picture of whichever pet your purchase is helping to fund their care for. So you get a personal, this is where a portion of your money is gone.
I just had a thought.
Uh-oh.
I bet this is awesome on ferrets.
Oh,
You know how stinky ferrets can be?
Yeah.
If this is safe for cats, this would be an awesome shampoo for ferrets.
I should have my daughter try it with her 2 ferrets.
Yeah, because when I had ferrets, I was always looking for a good shampoo that would get that musky odor off them without making them smell perfumey.
Right.
And I bet this oatmeal shampoo would be good for that.
Yeah. Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, all ferret owners, let us know. Be part of the experiment and let us know, and then take a picture of your parrot with the bottle.
There you go. Send it in.
Sit, stay. It's a doggy dog world. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
DGP is an all-natural formula proven to help aging pets with joint and mobility problems. It goes to work quickly, providing vital nutrients to the joints while reversing the effects of age. Some people see results in as little as 7 days. Don't let your dog struggle another day. Call 800-521-0543 or visit dgpforpets.com and enter the code DOGGY, that's DOGGY, for 25% off your first order and free shipping.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Dynavite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Doggosuds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggosud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggosuds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com. We know you're begging for more. So back to It's a Doggy Dog World with your fetching hosts, Liz Palaika, and this week's co-hosts, Kate Abbott and Petra Burke.
All right, back to our show. Well, we had a case, one of our road trips to Arizona. We went to Arizona shortly after doing the rattlesnake avoidance training.
Oh.
And we checked into the hotel, then took the dogs out to go for a walk, and we walked across
It was a
the
gas station.
Parking area of a gas station.
Yep.
And underground in the tanks, something was clicking. Click, 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 click.
Oh, it was rattling.
It
was more rattling.
Rattling click.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 of our dogs practically jumped in the air and went, bah!
Yeah.
And it took us a minute. And then one of us, I don't remember which one of us, went, oh, that sounds like a rattlesnake.
Yeah. Yep.
And then we just moved, got out of there.
Yeah, once we figured that out, then we walked around and the dogs were fine.
That was good to generalize, and let's keep going.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And they were like stupid humans.
Yeah, exactly. You taught me this, now you're not listening to me. Let's get out of here. That sounds like a big snake. Underground.
Well, then we're back to the generalization versus the discrimination. I mean, I know that there are times I've looked at my dogs and said, what, a leaf fell, get over it. And they're like, no, you don't understand. There's something out there that I can't perceive.
Right.
And
I mean,
they
you
do.
figure out their eyesight, the sense of smell. I mean, those are so much more attuned to a dog than us, you know. And I think we get kind of lackadaisical in our environments, so we don't really pay attention as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how it all fits together is a wonderful geek puzzle.
Yeah.
But, so, understanding it, thinking of it as a training opportunity, how do you help your dog generalize? So even at the very first steps, teaching your puppy dog to sit, you typically have your puppy dog facing you, lift the nose with a treat, let blood goes down, release the treat, good boy, hands on, and then release. But if you do that 100 times, then the puppy dog can very honestly, righteously think, I should always sit facing you. Mm-hmm. Then you move on to the heel, and then you want him to sit by your side when you stop walking. And I can't think of how many dogs
move to the front.
Yeah, butt swings around so they can face the. That's the way sit is done. Mm-hmm. So during that first 100 times, doing it at slight angles, from behind you to next to you to 45 degrees, so that doesn't become one of the requirements for how I must sit. Is always facing you. So that's an easy enough. Your body language, that's harder for us to see. And that's where it's helpful to have other eyes watching you, or use the video portion of your phone.
Or if I've been working on something specific, especially when I was still competing with my dogs, I would sometimes train in the bedroom in front of the closet mirrors.
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
there you go. Mm-hmm. And there's another concept called proofing, and it always does remind me of when they talk about making bread. You let it rise, so you proof the yeast, or you could proof the yeast before you put it in there. But anyway, it's making sure that everything's working right.
Bless me on that one.
Don't bake bread. Okay.
You've never proofed yeast?
No.
So you pull it out of the pantry and you want to know, are the little yeasty beasties still alive?
Right.
Oh, warm water and sugar?
So you can do that and see if they go bubble, bubble, bubble. Then you have proof that the yeast is ready to be used.
Okay.
Got it.
I know about that part. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other
proof
part
it.
is after
Got
you've
it.
actually mixed it in, the proof is when it rises up.
Oh, okay.
So I'll call
Got
it
it.
proofing there. Okay, so weird analogy, but
Okay.
if we're looking at proofing whether our dogs really understand the cue that we want them to understand, then keep your mouth shut and just use a hand signal. Keep your mouth shut and just bend a little bit and see what your puppy dog does. That
Or
was
doing it in a different place.
different, huh? All of that is proofing, yeah.
If we use the sit, most of the time people start it when they're standing. How about sit down?
Yep.
Or, as I did with one of my dogs at one point who was having trouble with it, lay down on the floor. Will your dog sit on command if you lay down on the floor? That's a real hard one.
Do it in front of the mirror with your back turned to your dog. That'll freak them out.
Yeah.
And, excuse me, that will put your proofing to the test.
Or freak them out.
But, and it may be fine. It depends on what you want. It may be fine that you turn and give your dog the look and they sit. That's your cue. That's fine.
As long as you can always use that cue.
Yeah.
Now, in our classes, for a lot of the exercises, we teach both a hand signal and a verbal. Because it's really nice if you're talking on the phone and your dog says, you're on the phone, I don't have to listen to you, to be able to give him a hand signal or something in situations such as that.
And sometimes it would. So one time I was working Walter, and another trainer, not with Kindred Spirits, was like, oh, so you use the bend over at the waist a bit. And what? I must have been moving 2 millimeters. And just when I would say down, unconsciously I would tilt forward just a hair.
Well, of course, he's a small dog, too. It's hard not to.
But she said that, and I went, huh? And she explained it, and I went, oh. So I stood there, and I didn't say down. I did not move my arms as I normally would do. I just leaned forward. He hit the ground. That was another cue.
Yeah.
He would do it just verbally. He would do it just hand signal. But I had been using a whole body English cue, and I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
So once I didn't eliminate it, but...
And
Petra, you've got a horse. Body language is
huge.
Everything to horses.
Yeah, I use it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's funny because
eye contact.
You kind of end up, it's weird because you're training dogs and then you work with your horse and I end up crossing the two.
Sure.
So both dogs and horse know verbal commands. And body language is a huge thing.
And I think
it's huge with horses, and you end up using it with dogs.
Eye contact with horses. We think of eye contact with the dogs, but eye contact with horses can be everything also.
Well, and that's a whole nother thing, whether you're in front of the horse or off to the side, right? Because their vision is different.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
that's
whether you're looking straight forward, which can be a threat, can back the horse up. Whether you're looking at a diagonal, whether you approach on a diagonal, whether you come up behind him.
Yeah. No, anyway.
We took Kate on the side, John.
But generalization with horses is just as important, especially if you're riding on top and you want them to... So when you're riding them... And
I'm sorry, I don't know where
riding underneath.
I'm riding underneath. I don't know where you're riding.
Put the horse underneath.
Because you're on top of this beast, and if they think...
Your body cue's still the slightest body's cue, the slightest movement of your weight.
But something spooks
the
them?
dog. The dog. You cue the horse.
See, right.
Well,
but a horse gets spooked, it's can be life-threatening for you and the horse.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So you really have to generalize with a horse all the different... I mean, Lord knows we don't want our dogs to spook and run out in traffic, but...
A horse, you're talking about 1,000-pound plus animal.
Yeah.
That can hurt you.
Yeah.
But I think because of that, I mean, that's when you start also, I guess, reading your dogs. Like you read your horse. You're like, okay, you're alerting, something's, like you said, you take a walk, you look, everything looks great, but they're like squirrel over there, this is there, that there, and you start reading your dog, like, okay, you've got something.
Your horse.
Then you start more, it's like your sense of awareness and everything is sharper. You start understanding.
Okay, I'm going to get really, really geeky. Out on a thin limb here.
Okay, everybody, sit back. Buckle your seatbelt.
I have always loved the concept that humans have dogs influenced each other in coevolution.
Right.
Okay.
True.
The idea that one of the reasons that we stand upright is because we had dogs with us that stayed on the ground to communicate with us, freeing us up to stand up and look further.
Yeah.
And to look for different things.
We were on our hind legs before we civilized dogs.
Okay.
Many years before we civilized dogs.
And the things that we see, we scan, they pick out particulars. It meshes together nicely.
It meshes together, yes. But as far as the evolution, we were on our back feet a long time before we had dogs.
Where was I going with that?
You broke the limb? I don't know where you were going. Because there's no more limb.
Slipped right off of that limb. Anyway.
But I know it is fascinating. I think it's the neatest thing is to actually get down to your dog's level at times to kind of check out.
Yeah.
Wow, the world is pretty different down here.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay,
whatever the reason
Gotcha.
for our various ways of sensing the world, knowing it, or at least being aware of it, can change how we communicate with them, whether we communicate effectively or not. And that's what it's all about.
In search and rescue training, when I was doing search and rescue training, And when I was handling the military working dog, the mantra that we were all given was trust your dog.
Yeah.
Because when you're starting to do search and rescue training, we assume that we know what's going on. And we don't know what's going on.
We don't know that there's that squirrel hiding behind the trunk.
When Paul and I did search and rescue training, we were back in Washington, D.C., Virginia, Maryland, that area. Lots and lots of woods. Most of our searches were in the woods. And you might be able to see, a little ways, 25 yards through the trees. But if you got in some deep underbrush, somebody could have been fallen and hurt in the underbrush. A person would walk on by.
Right.
So the hardest thing for most people to do is give up that control.
Right.
Give up that control. You're just there to walk with your dog and support him. Your dog's the one doing the work. And it's the same with the military working dog, the military police working dog. That dog knows more what that bad guy's doing than you do. And you got to trust him.
I don't know if it's a new meme to the internet, but it is to me. It's the black lab at the police station typing in his report, and it says, I found the drugs, I told my guy, he gave me a ball, end of report. I think he's like big-eyed looking over his shoulder going, I told the dumb human where it was or something.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And search and rescue is certainly it.
It was so obvious to him.
Yep.
But that's my reason for geeking out on it, is it can change the effectiveness of our training if we don't understand.
Yes.
And we just get frustrated then. Well, he knows it. No, he doesn't. If he's not doing it, there may be other reasons, grant you, especially if you've got a teenage puppy dog. And they may not feel well, and there's a whole other host of reasons. But I do think a large majority of the time is the dog is going, no, all the conditions have not been met for me to do this.
This is not the way you taught me.
Right. And then we can say, oh, okay, and fix it. Help them do it, which makes our training more effective. We have better communication, blah, blah, blah. So it's worth geeking out just a little bit and then plan for a lack of generalization. And that's the fun part, is just varying everything.
A good example for us is we travel a lot with the dogs. Throw them in the RV and take off. Who knows where we're going to be when we stop the RV and let the dogs out to go potty?
Yeah.
They went for a walk.
Point A to point B. Like, ooh, where are we now?
We could be at the desert.
Yep.
We could be up in the mountains.
Yep.
We could be at a rest stop. We could be at a Walmart parking lot.
Yep.
Who knows where we're going to stop and let them go potty. And so for us to require consistent behavior from them, wait at the RV door while the leash is put on, come out of the RV when you're given permission to, walk nicely with us, go potty when you're asked to go potty, jump back in the RV, consistent behavior from the dogs, but yet all these changes, abrupt changes in the environment.
And they've got to cope with that.
And they've got to cope with it. And they've got to give us that consistent behavior.
But we have to train for that consistent
But we
behavior.
have to train for it. Exactly. Exactly.
It's almost like reducing all of these things must happen for the dog to sit, but you just keep removing all of the ifs until it's just if you say or move or do that. Yeah.
Right. And then also I think, like our guys, they travel so much and we go to so many different places that they also get to a point where they trust us. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, right.
Okay, well we're here.
In a place that Mom said to sit. Okay, we'll sit. Mm-hmm. But I think, like you said earlier, the more you go out and journalize where they're supposed to do their obedience or behave, the easier it is.
Well, that
as it goes on and on. Because really, I mean, these guys,
the clearer you
they're pretty
communicate,
bound-proof.
they pretty are. I mean, pretty much are. Especially even our two young ones.
Yeah,
they started out immediately and.
Yeah. They were traveling at 10 weeks old.
Yeah, few thousand miles under their belt that quickly.
But I think a large part of that. No, there's other things, but a large part of that is they understand what you're communicating because you've taken the time to be clear
and
about it.
There's that,
and that
trust.
builds trust.
And the trust.
Yeah.
I'm never going to put you in a situation where you're going to be harmed.
Exactly.
I'm never going to purposely put you in a situation where you'll be frightened. Or if you are frightened, I'll be right here with you.
Right.
You'll never be frightened alone. You'll never be abandon. This is a teamwork.
Anyway, look at your variability in your. Oh, I was working with someone a couple weeks ago. Every time they took the leash off the dog, it would just go bananas, whether it was in the home or in the yard or out and about. And of course, they were afraid that one day the leash was going to break, and the dog would just go blah. So just putting 2 leashes on the dog, and every so often take 1 leash off and just continue on, and then put another. It just taking the leash on and off removed it as a communication cue that something was going to happen.
Yeah.
But it took a long time to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Anything else to add before we wind it up?
You know, communication, as I often think, as I'm geeking out.
Green eggs and ham.
Human beings that speak the same language and the same culture still don't communicate well with each other.
Yep.
It's a miracle that we are able to communicate with our dogs and they can understand us.
Yeah.
Make it as easy on them as possible.
All right. Well, that's it for this time. Take a listen to us next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Having a rough day? Longing for the dog days of summer? Think your fun furry friend lives a dog's life? Well, find out everything you're begging to know as Pet Life Radio presents It's a Doggy Dog World with pet expert and award-winning author Liz Palaika. Every dog has his day, and you'll find out how to make your dog's day fun and rewarding. Every week, on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.